Hello, I'm Nerino, Petro, Practice Management Advisor for the State Bar's Practice 411 Law Office Management Assistance Program. And with me today is Jim Calloway, Director of the Oklahoma Bar Management Assistance Program. Good morning, Jim. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Nerino. I appreciate the opportunity.
Jim, can you tell us what your topic was about today?
Yes, today I talked to your institute about the future of law practice, dark clouds or silver linings. And basically, I was analyzing some of the big economic trends that I see really presenting challenges for lawyers all across the country. It was a little bit different presentation for me because I actually cited things like The Economist and Forbes magazine and other things rather than my usual either legal specific or technology related area of topic. But I was happy to visit with your lawyers on that issue.
Jim, you talked about these factors that are causing challenges for lawyers. Can you give us an example of a few of those?
Well, I mean, there's temporary and then what I view as structural changes. Obviously, the recession is dragging down profitability of a lot of businesses, but I showed them some charts where really the downturn in legal employment predates that. We discussed a little bit the Association of Corporate Counsel and their value challenge, and if you're interested in that, you can Google the phrase ACC value challenge and find a complete downloadable playbook that's written by in-house counsel essentially on how to pay your law firms less. And the outgrowth of that is we've seen major corporations say things like, we're not going to pay for first-year associates or whatever. But then finally, technology still changes everything, and we certainly see a lot of efficiencies and differences. I don't think anybody who's been practicing law for 10 or 15 years could deny that the practice of law really has changed. And so those are kind of the economic factors plus the implementation of technology. So those were some of the things we covered as challenges.
So Jim, looking down the road, are lawyers' largest competitors going to be other lawyers and law firms, or are they going to be non-traditional legal service providers, do you think?
Well, I think we're going to see challenges from everywhere, and one of the things I outlined was the large number of new lawyers who are being minted against a relatively small number of positions. But I think we're going to see a lot of the challenges from online legal service document assembly programs. We're seeing one very well-known provider who I won't necessarily mention now, but they, according to a report when they filed for an initial public offering, said that 20% of the limited liability companies last year in California were actually done by this provider rather than lawyers. And then we're seeing less fear from like accounting firms to do articles of incorporation or LLCs. And lots of different challenges, but the internet really does change everything, and I see these document assembly services on the internet combined with more advertising to disparage traditional legal services in favor of online, what I call do-it-yourself document assembly. It's going to change some attitudes, but as long as we provide good service to our clients, hopefully it won't be anything that we can't deal with, and we may in fact meet them on their own turf a little bit in the future.
So Jim, one of the things you talked about were strategies that lawyers today can use to face this competition and quite honestly perhaps meet them on their own turf or ground, so to speak. Can you give us some examples of what those might be?
Sure. First of all, I talked about the fact that we should just do a better job of becoming more efficient and using the technology we have. Such things as a digital law practice, or some call it the paperless office, where all of our information is there together. So when somebody calls on the phone, instead of waving the secretary to go find the file somewhere in the file drawer, hopefully if it's in the file drawer, we can just click on a list of clients' names. So that I think is very critical. But I also see the fact that there are now some really interesting and inexpensive document assembly tools that work as plugins to Microsoft Word, and they allow a combination of the programming of the author of the program with unlocking the power of Microsoft Word that many of us know is out there, so we can't get to it. So I think document assembly is probably the next few years the key in my view. Document assembly combined with charging by the document instead of by the hours created can have us in a position where our clients actually pay a little bit less than they would have under the old method, and we make maybe a little bit less, but for a much less investment of time. So document assembly, folks, look at some of the programs that are out there. There's some excellent tools that can really change your law office.
So, Jim, I know that there are a number of people out in the legal world that paint a very bleak picture for lawyers. In fact, Professor Susskind, who you put up a slide late in your presentation, has written a book, The End of Lawyers. Do you think things are quite as bleak as Professor Susskind is making them out to be?
I think he would say, please note that the title of the book, End of Lawyers, ended with a question mark. So he would say it's an open question. But no, we have a lot of intelligent, dedicated professionals in our practice, and there's always going to be room for people to succeed who work hard and do innovative things. But I do think that we need to make sure and improve our clients' service models. We want all of our clients to leave as relatively happy as they can be. Some would always like the outcome, but as happy as they can be with our services and our level of services, so they return to us in the future and perhaps more importantly become ambassadors and tell other people who need legal services, hey, I hired that lawyer did a great job for me.
Jim, thanks for taking your time with us today, and that'll be the end of this session at the Litigation Institute in Wisconsin Dells.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.